Right, Shalom, giving all praise unto Yahweh, Shema, Shabbat, Shemukah, HaKodash, double honors unto the apostles, a great millstone, and honors to brothers that be pushing this truth in sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. I'm the brother Ibadia. I'm coming out here to give you this truth through the grace and mercy of Yahweh, Shema, Shai. In this particular lesson, I just wanted to land back of the recent videos being posted by many brothers within Great Millstone dealing with these women, and I wanted to try and an attempt to add to some of the things that have been mentioned, go through some of the similar scriptures, and sort of just try and add to it without saying too much. Okay, so this is the word fit for purpose. I thought we'll start this little sit down, and it's not going to be a super long video. I don't like making super long videos about women. They tend to attract the wrong type of a crowd. So let's go into this. This is fit for purpose. It says an institution or well equipped or suited for its designated role or purpose. So when something is fit for purpose, it's well equipped for the situation that it's going to be used for. And the Most High set it up to where the man was the head of the household. Okay, that's the person that's fit for the purpose. That's the person that's fit for the job. All right. When you check out a man's mentality, it's very simple and straightforward. Now, I wouldn't even say simple. I would say it's stacked upon simplicity. Just like you go into arithmetics, mathematics, it starts off simple, but it gets very, very complicated very quickly, but it's built upon simple principles. And I always tell people that want to get into mathematician, all it is adding and subtraction. That's all it is, multiplication. You could break it down into adding and subtraction. Right, two times 2 is 4, but it's also 2 plus 2, and you can stretch that analogy far beyond just multiplication. You can go into differentials and integrals and surface integration and all of this, crazy mathematics that is difficult to get your mind around conceptually. But ultimately, when you break it down to its simplicity, you can kind of break it down onto just adding and subtraction. And when it comes to this truth, the Most High made it like that. See, it's very easy to understand that something, if it's created, can't be destroyed. That's a very easy concept, right? If the Most High created energy, then that energy is going to be transferred to something else. That's what they tell you in science, right? So if you got it to where a person lives on the earth, then they're going to go back to the spiritual world. So that means that energy is preserved. That just makes sense. And here at Great Millstone, we teach you about reincarnation. And again, when we apply those simple principles, it just makes sense. And when you start to understand that, okay, that's reincarnation, you open the scriptures up. Well, the scriptures span thousands of years. You start to see similarities between figures within the scriptures. Then you start to build upon that simplicity. You go to reincarnation, you understand reincarnation, and you understand King Solomon was Yahweh Shai, and so on and so forth. You're building up upon those simple blocks, right? But for all intents and purposes, it is still the simplicity that is in Yahweh Shai. Now, when you go to these broads coming up on the comment boards and spewing out their emotions and spewing up their feelings, that brings about confusion and instability. It comes about as a result of their emotions or whatever the situation may be, but usually it's because of their emotions, of which a woman's emotions, they're a beautiful thing. You want to raise a family or you want to go on a date or something. But when it comes down to the scriptures where you're going to be devoid of emotion, let's take a look at a few examples from the Lord. Scripture says if you have a lazy son, you're supposed to put that lazy son to death, if I'm not mistaken in what I remember. But I'm pretty sure I'm correct in making that statement if memory serves correct. If your son is part of the rainbow persuasion, you're supposed to put him to death. If your son is what of an example? If your son commits adultery, you're supposed to put him to death. Okay, all of those examples there are a situation where the father's got to suck up his emotions and do the justice, right? He's got to do the justice. He's got to do the just acts. So when you look at figures that was called just, such as the man Abraham, well, the Most High asked Abraham to sacrifice his son. That's an act that a mother is not equipped to do. She's not fit for the purpose of that particular role. Because the Most High has made her the weaker vessel, which that fulfills a particular purpose within the family structure. Don't get it twisted. That's a very important, very, very, very beautiful role. When it comes down to the administration of these laws, when it comes down to the priestly, royal acts, and the administration of this word, the Most High ain't built you for that. He's got the men to, the Most High set it up to where the tabernacles of his household is with men. That's within the scriptures. That's clearly there because we are well equipped for that particular role. 1 Peter 3:7. Likewise, ye husbands, dwell with them according to the knowledge, giving honor unto the wife, because she has a particular role that she fulfills, and it's a beautiful role. There's nothing more beautiful than a woman in an order. You come home and everything is nice. Nothing bad about that. I know some of you bros has got it crazy within your head because you've been out here within Babylon for too long. You want to be a career woman prophetess, right? She wants the pantsuit on and the garment on, pantsuit with fringes on. That's what some of you broads want, man. A pantsuit with fringes on. And the Most High ain't with that. He's got a particular role that's a beautiful role. Like I said, that's beautiful. That's how I grew up, man. I grew up underneath a traditional family, and there was nothing that was irksome about it. I see my grandparents, they grew up in a traditional family, and there was nothing irksome about it. I go to some of my family members, and they're still maintaining the traditional ways, and it's beautiful, man. You see how strong them kids grow up, and you can see these kids had family around them. The mother was there all the time. Father was strong. It's a beautiful thing when you see kids grow up within a household that uses tools that are fit for purpose. Let's check out what the scripture says. As unto the weaker vessel. So the Most High designed you to be weaker because you have more emotions. And there's nothing wrong with that. All right? Women are better. You see, here's the thing. They complain of these women be bitches. These women be complaining. And some of you are bitches, man. But these women be complaining about the man having more than one wife, right? But guess what? The Most High gives you the psychological tools. You look up psychology and you look up how women behave within groups. Women are better behaved within groups, right? Women just work better around other women. Making some meals or whatever. You put 3 women in the kitchen and they're making meals, man. It's like a party for them. They have a good time. Now, men can work together, but you really have to have order and rank and file for it to work. You gotta have an established rank. That's where you have what's known as social dynamics. You gotta go through the 5 phases of social dynamics, where you gotta go through the norming, storming, and then ultimately performing. Brothers get caught up in the norming and storming, and you butt heads sometimes. But ultimately, the Most High sets up a rank and file where it's like, okay, that's the final, word, right? You see, you got the head chef and so on and so forth. But the Most High is giving you the tools to be accompanied with the other wives, man. The Most High gave you those tools, okay? And being His heirs together of grace and life, that your prayers be not hindered. So the weaker vessel is not the man, right? It's the woman. But again, there's nothing wrong with that because the Most High set it up to where you was supposed to be underneath the headship of your man, and he was supposed to guide you through particular things. 1 Corinthians 14, I pulled this up in over here, isn't it? 1 Corinthians 14, and now this here, I got an article for it because I find this fascinating. I find psychology fascinating. When you break everything down to the simple science that is psychology, get to understanding a lot of behavioral traits that you see within people. You get to understand why the scriptures is written the way it's written. Might seem brutal and might seem like irksome to some of you people, but you got to get out that westernized simp mindset. If you're a man reading these scriptures and you're getting butthurt about it, you got to get out that mindset, man, because it's detrimental, all right? It's very detrimental. I'm going to show you something right here. Hopefully it's going to be of edification, right? 1 Corinthians 14 and 33. And this Now, I find this fascinating again because the 33rd verse actually explains why it's like the need for the 34th verse. It's like the need for the 34th verse, right? So it says, "For the Most High is not the author of confusion, but of peace in all the churches." And then the next verse it says, "Let your women keep silence in the churches." Now, I wonder why the scripture says that. Let's go into a little bit of psychology now. Now, I just pulled out a random article here. We're going to go into the, in here. I just put up a random article. Now, we're going to go a little bit circular to explain a spiritual point. And this is why the scriptures is written the way it is, okay? The scriptures is very straightforward for you to be able to do some things, but it's supposed to protect you from an outcome like we got right now underneath the red Hebrew Edomite, where it's just nothing but pure confusion. Now, this is 6 reasons why girls say one thing and do another. Now, do I need to go into the article? No, because it should call to remembrance. It should call to remembrance experiences that you've had with broads be saying all kind of craziness. All right, and this is, I mean, if we go back. Oh, okay, so it's gone now, right? But there's a plethora of different articles that, and I'm not going to go into it. You can go into it in your own time. But there's a plethora of different articles that go into that particular, I'm going to call it psychosis, because that shit is crazy. Here it is, she wants one thing, but she says she wants one thing, but she really wants another thing. Like she says she wants a good guy, and here it is, you get these simps, right? You get these simps that they be complaining about why all the girls go for the platform. It's like, come on, bro. Right? It's nothing but confusion. You scale that up into the scriptures, they're going to bring nothing but confusion, because they're going to say one thing, but ultimately they're going to do another thing. And ultimately, these women, the Most High kind of gave you certain things that you can understand, but because the way you're wired up, it's better for you to learn, like the scripture says, underneath your husband, because he's going to be able to break it down for you. All right? So I thought I'd just bring that. I mean, it's a basic example, and really, it's one of them things you don't think about, but then you think about it once you see it. It's like, well, okay, of course. That's why the Most High set it up like that. That's why the Most High set it up to where the man's the head of the household, because ultimately, when you got it to where a person says, I mean, think about it, man. I remember Elder Gabar said this a long time ago, and I'll never forget it. He said, look, you're going to take instructions from somebody, roughly paraphrasing, because I forget the exact wording, but you're going to take instructions for somebody that shaves their eyebrows off and then draws them back on. You know, which, if a brother likes that within his woman, that's his business. You know, you like what you like, and you run your household how you want to run your household. But the pure, simple fact of the matter is that the Most High set it up to where the head of the church is Yahweh Shai, and underneath Yahweh Shai is the man. The man is the head of the household, because you're just the man's been built fit for that particular purpose, man. He's just got the right wiring for it. He's got a linear mindset. The scriptures are very linear. They're very simple, right? A man could be devoid. He could remove his emotions from a particular situation. So a man can do what's known as sacrifice himself. You see that? That's why a man can sacrifice himself for the great good of the nation, just like how Yahweh Shai did. Now imagine Yahweh Shai would have been, no, I'm not going to say that. But imagine you got these broads out here, they got to make the sacrifice, like the men of the Lord's got to make the sacrifice. Well, the proof is in the pudding, man. Where you see them women out there holding camp and teaching in the rain, in the cold. It's because they're not fit for purpose. Did you know that a man's skin is like 10, 20 times harder? Right? His skin is 10, 20 times harder. That means he could take, now when you go into the science of harder skin, it means you could be in a colder position, right? Like in a more hardy position. Like you could be out there in the battlefield, you could be out there in the trenches, or the spiritual trenches, which is out there on, when it's raining, pouring down, you still got to hold camp. That means the Most High is giving you the tools to be able to suffer through that. Now, for the people that resist, this is what the scripture saith, Psalms 110:3, that people shall be willing in the day of thy power, in the beauty of thy holiness, from the womb of the morning, thou hast the dew of thy youth. So when all is said and done, you can dislike what the scripture says, you could dislike what I say, you could thumbs down on the video, you could do whatever you want to do, right? But the reality of the situation is this, you know, this is the mindset you're gonna see more brothers take. It's like, well, it doesn't matter what you like. there's just what it is. There's just what it is. What is that the Most High set up the man to have his benefits and the woman has her benefits. Okay, the benefits that a man has is it's yours, right? Land is yours, the family is yours. But guess what? You got an Israelite woman. Well, guess what? You're gonna have a particular role in that, and you ain't gonna go out there and do nothing. You see these women, man. Here it is. You got a beautiful role within the family, right? But you're not the guy that gives the orders. That's what you're messed up about. But you ain't gonna go out there into the trenches. All you're gonna do is be loyal to your partner, your husband, right? These women, right? All they gotta do is be loyal to their husband. And it's like they got a winning formula, but they just want to have it all, man. Anyways, I said I wasn't going to be too long with this video, and I feel like I'm about 5 minutes over. So with that, I'm going to say, oh, praise unto Yahweh Bashim Hashai. And Lord's will also for edification. Oh, praise unto Yahweh Bashim Hashai, Bashim Koah HaKodash. Double honors unto the apostles, a great millstone. And honor your brothers that be pushing this truth in sincerity. And Lord's will, I'll see you on the next video. Shalom.